Hey, everybody. I'm Chris.
I'm Chris.
Nope. I'm Steven. Hey, everybody. I'm Chris.
I'm Steven.
We like board games.
And beer.
We decided to pair them. We think you should too. Welcome to
Table Hops.
All right. What's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, bud?
Oh, boy. It's been a long week for Steven.
It's only Tuesday.
only Tuesday. So what's new with you? What anything in your life?
Well, we survived Hurricane Florence.
Yes, we were able to rebuild.
Yeah.
My deck chair fell over.
Yeah, I think it rained for a solid 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, it was intense.
I was off for 4 days.
Yeah, me too. They shut down my schools because they made them into shelters, and then we didn't have school for a week. And, I kind of understand why they did it, and it was kind of a pain in the butt. But, I mean, I'd rather it be this way than to have a giant disaster and us not be prepared for it.
Sure, and stuff was looking grim at first.
Oh,
and
yeah. But
so,
you never know. You never know where it's going to flow.
Never know, but it
You never know where flow going to go. You never know.
gave us plenty of times for games and beer, though.
Yes, we did. We stocked up on hurricane supplies, also known as beer, and brought in a bunch of games. And you had some friends that came in from out of town because they were in the direct path of the hurricane.
Yeah, they were in Myrtle Beach. They ended up, luckily, everything was fine when they got home. They had only lost power for about 2 hours.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because the storm kind of turned north a little bit and then swooped down. But yeah, they were all good. One of the people that came down actually works at Cape Fear Games.
Nice.
And they're having a little bit bigger trouble because they're in Wilmington. Wilmington was like right where the storm made landfall.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah.
Did they have damage to the store?
The store seems fine. Some products got damaged, but just because of the rain.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
But other than that, they're chugging along.
Nice.
But
Very
we
good.
played lots of games.
Yes, we did. Name a game or two that you played this week that you haven't played before.
I played the Networks for the first time. I played that solo. But
What's
you're
the theme of the networks?
You are a network executive,
Okay.
and you are like managing your budget and like your shows and your stars and your ads.
So like a social networking kind of, or like a P&R kind of.
A PNR?
Public-
NPR?
Public relations?
No.
No.
No. This is a television network.
Oh, networks like television. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you're a network executive at a television company,
I
right?
see.
And you're managing your primetime lineup. So
Okay. So you have time slots and things
you have different
to fill.
time slots, yep. And your shows, you're procuring different shows,
Okay.
and you want to put them in their preferred time slots.
Wow,
Right.
this seems like a strange theme for a board game. I could see it in a video game almost.
It is a little strange theme-wise. It's very thematic, first of all.
Okay.
And it does have think of it almost like drafting, right? So there's a set of cards out on the board
Right.
during each season.
And you're all competing networks.
Yep, you're all competing networks,
Right.
and you're competing for viewers,
I
right?
see.
And based on what shows you have will determine how many viewers you get. Well, some shows will cost you money each season.
Okay.
Some shows require certain things, so they might require a star, right? So a
certain
star actor.
actor. Okay.
Yep. Some shows require for an ad to be running.
So these are all cards that you can draft. And you're making, is it like deck building almost, or?
Not really.
Okay.
No, because you only have 3 slots. You only have 8, 9, 10 p.m. in the base game.
Okay.
And so you're adding, these shows in, and then at a certain point, you might want to cut a show, right?
Okay.
It may not be benefiting you anymore because most shows will go for like 2 seasons, and then their viewership dips pretty
I see.
significantly.
Okay.
So you'll take the shows, you'll retire them, and then they no longer produce viewers for you, but at the end of the game, they're worth points based on if you had like similar genres. So if I had 3 of like sports,
Right.
I get to do certain things. So super cool. I definitely want to play it multiplayer.
Yeah.
But the solo play was super fun.
Okay. And you just have like a goal to meet in a certain number of turns or something like that, or?
In the solo, you're trying to get to 265. I got to 220.
What is 265?
265 viewers. 265 viewers.
That doesn't sound like a lot of viewers.
Well,
That's more than we have.
So you're trying to get 265 viewers. It might be thousands.
Might be
but
thousands.
They
Gotcha.
just count as 265. But I got to 220, and it definitely like could see like, all right, this is how I could have done this better.
Okay. I wonder if there's like a situation where you'd go 13 episodes into like a really popular sci-fi show and then get it canceled. And then that makes like a cult following, and then they make a movie out of it. Does that make you lose the game?
Makes you lose life.
Yeah, I thought so.
Everyone will boycott you.
Yeah, that
Literally
was a
everyone.
bad decision.
What did you play?
I played The Mind with you and your friends.
Yep.
That card game. I like that a lot.
What did you like about The Mind?
I liked when you started to like. Okay, so first of all, the way The Mind works is you all have a series of cards, and you're not allowed to communicate vocally or like with expressions to the other players, but you need to lay your cards down into sequence somehow, right? And so
In a numerical
timeline or like number line, basically. And if anyone plays at a number, then you lose a life, and you have a limited number of lives.
So, for example, if you played a 4 and I played a 22, but somebody else had a 16, that would make us lose a life.
Exactly. Now, I think the thing I liked about the game is, one, just sort of figuring it out, and two, it's like a rhythm game. Once you get the rhythm of the other players you're playing with, then you get it going. I feel like you need to play with the same people like 3 times before you have a chance of winning. Unless you are happenstancely or simpatico with somebody else.
Yeah.
In which case you should marry them.
So my wife and I and our friends played it together, and we got to like round 6 or 7, I believe.
Okay. Out of 8?
10.
10. Oh, okay.
Or 8 in a 4-player game.
Yeah,
You're right.
Okay.
And that was after playing it for 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but it is one of those things where you're like, it makes you want to try and beat it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's simple enough that anyone can join in. But yeah, it's a great party game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good little filler game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. I liked it a lot. I like how it's randomly bunnies in space and ninja stars.
Right.
There's no reason for
There's
that.
no theme.
No reason. Not at all.
Literally 0 theme.
I don't know why it's called The Mind. I guess because you're trying to communicate like with your mind.
Well, it's like a mind trick, right?
I guess so.
Like after a certain point, like you start to all act as a hive mind.
Okay.
And like you start to understand time with each other.
We should
Speaking
have
of
called it
games
The
with
Hive. But anyway, to this.
Speaking of games with no theme,
Okay.
we played Sagrada.
That has a theme-ish. Stained glass.
Sure. Tell me how many times you felt like you were creating stained glass.
0 times.
Wonderful.
We did it.
I love that game though.
It's fun. It's a fun. What kind of
Dice drafting.
just dice drafting?
Yep. I would make it more akin to like an Azul.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Sure.
Because Azul is the same thing, right? You have a pattern that you're trying to fill out. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And this is, you have a pattern of dice that you're trying to fill out. Mm-hmm. I like that game. I like how it's both light and heavy at the same time.
Right. It took me a minute to figure out what exactly was going on, and the other issue that's difficult about it is if you're new to the game and you don't completely understand what's going on, you can easily mess yourself up pretty permanently for the rest of the game. Like if you place a certain die somewhere, you're like, whoops.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The whole rules of like how you can place something adjacent or not. And that's what the tools are there for. The tools are there to help you.
And that's really neat
recover.
with those little tokens.
The favor tokens.
Favor tokens. Was there a way to get more of those, or is this what you get?
It's just what you start with, yeah. And that's all based on the difficulty of your board.
Oh, right. Some boards are easier to fill than others. That makes
Exactly,
sense.
yeah.
It seemed pretty fun and balanced.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, seems great.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no real theme to it.
Yeah, it's abstract strategy, and sometimes you need that. Sometimes you don't need like
sure.
Like that's a game where you could easily like have a conversation with somebody else while you're playing it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now,
Versus
versus our other big game.
What was our other big... Oh, Scythe? Again?
Scythe.
Oh, yeah, Scythe. Yeah, so we've been playing Scythe, which we've played before, but now we're playing it with the Rise of Fenris, and I'm super excited.
But what else did we do?
We played a 6-player game of Scythe.
6-player game.
6-player game of Scythe with both expansions.
That took forever.
It did take a long time. I felt like everyone played pretty consistently. I don't think we were all... experienced enough to do the whole top row, bottom row thing. In 6 players, it got a little confuddled. Sometimes we just did.
Yeah. I think there was definitely a lack of attention.
I think that's with most games of that size, too. Oh, like, with that many people.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. Not saying it's a fault of the players.
But I still think it plays really well as a 6-player game. Like you said, we were playing other games that were 6 players, like Risk and stuff, where the downtime's way longer. But yeah, it was super fun. I did really badly in 6 players, and I thought I was doing pretty well.
Well,
and then I just lost it.
I think you also went for your typical strategy of run for the factory, and you were taken out of the factory relatively quickly.
That's true. I also knew that the factory wasn't going to be worth anything at the end, but I went to the factory first because my objective was to get a factory card and have no upgrades.
Right.
So I'm like, let me get that out of the way.
Right.
And I am the only one with the direct path, but maybe that I didn't backfire. It just took too long, I guess. I spent too much time doing that and should have sown my oats, sown my wild purple oats.
You were green.
Oh, I was green. Well, maybe that was the problem.
So you saw the legendary box and the broken token insert for the first time.
Yes, I did. I'm probably never going to get those. They are way too big. It was like a one of those Japanese puzzle boxes, getting it in and out in there. We had to team up. There was more teamwork in that than there was like playing the game.
Well, Scythe isn't a team game.
That's true.
Except when we're trying to beat you.
Right.
So what did you you probably remember what you drank more than I did.
New stuff. What did I drink that was new? I got that strawberry milkshake ale.
Yeah.
It has a weird like 50s sci-fi type logo to it. But I had it on draft and it's much better on draft. And I thought it was really good in the can, but the draft is just like it's a kick in your face strawberry ale.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Really? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's currently the big thing right now. It's like when banana bread, was it Wells or whatever, banana bread came out. That was huge.
Yeah.
So I think it's a novelty thing though. It tastes like a strawberry milkshake.
My best beer that I had over the weekend was the Omnipolo Dippa.
Oh, okay, yeah. You brought a crowler of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was good.
So good. It was nice and smooth. It wasn't like, like it was a Dippa.
Right.
But it wasn't like, I'm going to rip your eyeballs out.
Sure.
Kind of Dippa.
Sure. No. And I've noticed that, like, and I think I mentioned this before, even though they call them doubles and triples, they tend to smooth them out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're not abrasively hoppy. They're hoppy, but it's in a good way. Like, they balance them still.
Speaking of hops, did you see that news article today?
Mm-mm.
So Benchtop had hops helicoptered in from Oregon.
What?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
So there was a UPS picked up the hops, flew to Tennessee. It's wherever UPS's world port is, which I think is Memphis.
Okay.
And then they helicoptered them in from Memphis to here.
Wow.
There's this whole article talking about like the freshness of it and like, because these were all picked yesterday.
That's nuts.
And they got them today. Yeah.
Wow. Well, they won recently, I think it was a local beer award for best IPAs and stuff of some sort.
Yeah, so they brought them in today, right? And they took a whole bunch of photos and stuff.
Yeah.
But
did someone rappel down covered in hops? How cool would that be?
No,
like a gully soup full of hops?
He had to go to the airport.
Oh.
They went to the airport with a big like storage van.
Oh
right?
Boy. It's like a heist. It's like a hop heist.
Right off the helicopter into his van.
Oh boy. And then you got to brew it right away.
Yeah.
It's going to be the freshest.
They took it back and started brewing with them right away. So
I'm excited for that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Apparently, they always come out with like experimental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if did you have their kvass they had with pumpernickel bagels?
I didn't like that.
You didn't like it?
Mm-mm.
I thought it was pretty good.
I didn't like it. But I mean, it's interesting that they use a local bagel dashery for their kvass. It's not my style of beer, I guess.
They had that beet Berliner.
Yeah, that was okay. That was okay.
And they do a bunch of weird stuff, and I support that entirely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was just very interesting that they used, they went that far.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. Yeah. I can't think of any local brewery that's done something that crazy.
$500 shipping fee.
Oh no.
Right?
Well, that's a lot.
But I mean, look at it, right?
Right.
It got impress out of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right.
When that beer comes out,
Everyone's gonna buy it.
Everyone's
I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Yep. I just want to taste some helicopter hops.
they should call it that.
They should call it that. Yeah. We'll plug that in there. But yeah, what else did I have that was new? I had. What did I do? I went to O'Connor's not too long ago and had their Yanni IPA with their Laurel hops.
Oh, yeah.
That whole play on that. That was good. That was a really good IPA. I actually liked it quite a bit. They haven't made a super solid one after El Guapo and the Muy Guapo, but this one I think stood on its own pretty well.
Yeah.
There was another one I had there that was like it was part of their grain series. It was like it had a little tartness to it. It was like a Belgian with like some sort of lemony business going on, and that was really good. They've been like crushing the Saison market. They have all these Saisons right now. They have like a season they do in the summer where it's just different Saisons every week.
Yeah.
And they had a hibiscus one that was really good.
Yeah. They have a lot of beers.
Yeah. They've changed their format a little bit. They used to be, they have their six flagships.
Yep.
And then they release a bomber a season of a special type, like
Right.
their Punkel Weiss or whatever they do. And then they do their Maibach in the spring. And then they have a one for season.
Colch, yeah.
Now they do, that grain series is half their board,
Yeah.
where they just do 6 different random beers, I think every month.
Yeah.
Because I get that think tank thing. Every Thursday I can go in and try a new beer. I don't usually because I'm busy, but I can. They release them often enough. I always get an email. Come in today. Try this.
Yeah, I just thought it was like, I mean, there had to have been 20 plus beers on that board.
And that's pretty nuts for. Yeah, now that I think about it,
That's crazy.
that's a lot. Yeah. The other thing I've noticed from them, and I don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing, but they stopped doing bombers. They're only doing 6-packs of their.
They're doing 6 and 4s. Yeah.
And like cans of their things, but they're going to do everything else like the grain series stuff in just the crowlers.
Really?
Yeah. Because I do that think tank thing like I mentioned, and it used to be you have this number of bombers a year, and now it's all crowlers. There's no bombers on even as an option.
I wonder if that is, if people would look at bomber prices and wouldn't get them.
Well, a bomber is like what? Usually around $15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a crowler, maybe a couple bucks less, not a lot less.
Well, but I think it's just like your bombers these are packaged. We have to use them as packaged, right?
Okay, so I think because we just said that like, they're doing so many crazy different beers now, like they're trying to release as many, that the crowler is just the cheaper way to go. It just makes more sense.
Exactly.
Why produce it?
Why am I going to package it?
Right. When
And-
you could just do it in-house.
And then in 3 months when no one's bought it, I then have to either slash the price or whatever. you know?
True. And to also, to be fair, I love O'Connor's and I love their beer, but I go there to drink the beer. Rarely do I go out and hunt down a specific bottle of them when I can get a bottle from somewhere else to drink at home.
Okay.
I'll
yeah.
get growler fills there and bring it home, but usually bombers and stuff, I'll get something that I couldn't normally find.
And the only time I ever drink O'Connor's when I'm not at O'Connor's is at either a hockey or a baseball game.
Oh, for their
Their walk-off Colch and their hat trick IPA.
yeah, well, Hat Trick's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Hop trick.
Hop Trick, that's right. Yep.
But yeah, it's just interesting, how the game is changing a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, it does season to season, and we're right at that point where the weather's going to start getting colder. All the pumpkin shit's already out. I honestly get really pumpkined out at this time of year. All the pumpkin ales.
It gets into a dark season for me since it's porters and stouts literally everywhere.
I like the porters and the stouts,
I understand.
but I don't like. I mean, I like pumpkin beers too, but maybe 2 a year, and that's all I need.
Well, sure, but
Yeah.
you got to cater to people that aren't you, unfortunately.
Yeah, they need to change that. I think that's the problem.
Well, it's just the whole thing, right, where people think that stouts and porters are winter beers because...
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah, but they're not necessarily.
They're not.
Yeah, they just look darker.
Right, but people associate that. And then
True.
the breweries respond with,
Right.
here we go, right? Like, when's the last time a stout was released in the summer?
Coffee stouts are usually are so
Coffee stouts are just year-round now.
Year round. Yeah, I can't think of any time when yeah, I can agree with that. Whenever a big stout release happens, it's wintertime.
Right, it's cold.
It's colder. Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, I need a full-hearted beer.
Right. You know, one beer style that I've never, like, I've tried to get into it, I just can't, is those rock beers.
Really?
I can't. Like, they just taste like ashtrays to me.
I had a rock beer from Strange Ways, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Strange Ways. And I had that overwhelming smoke flavor at first.
Right.
But then a couple, like, sips in, it smoothed out.
Yeah. I've had other beer styles that have a little bit of that peaty smoke business to it, but I find most rock beers I have are, like, way over the top. Like, that is what they're going for.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I guess some people like that. But
yeah. Now, is that a flavoring they're adding in, or is that from the...
I don't know how they make them. I don't know. No idea. That'd be something neat to look at.
Yeah, interesting.
Ooh, you know what we could do? We could do a new segment called Weird Beer Facts, where we look up something and actually know what we're talking about before it happens.
That would require us to do work, Chris.
It would. I looked up all the sour stuff after we talked about it because I didn't understand how sours are made.
But that was after.
That was after. Because your conversation interested me. I'm sure all our listeners are Googling right now how to make a rock beer. Both of them.
Yeah, you and I.
I'm going to look it up. We did it. How about that Roots game? I didn't get to play Root. Not the LeVar Burton.
So Root is a asymmetric strategy game. Asymmetric, for those people who can't figure this out, asymmetric means that each player has different things to do, right?
A different objective, a different goal for the game.
Yeah, not all the time. It just depends. In this game, everyone has the same objective: get 30 victory points.
Okay.
All right.
But the way they go about it.
But the way that you get there is immensely different in this game.
Okay.
So I've seen in other asymmetric games where, someone might have, like, different powers, if they're playing, like, a different superhero,
Okay.
right? Or if they're, like, playing a different class of hero, right? Like, you might have different powers based on that. But this is, each race has a completely different board. Completely different setup. Completely different way you play the game.
Wow.
So I'll talk about the base game because that's what we played.
Okay.
So in the base game, it plays 2 to 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 different races that are
Right.
that are playing. The first is the Marquis de Cat.
Okay.
So these are the cat folk, and they are they own the forest basically.
I see.
So they start off the game with pieces in every space on the board except for one.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that they get victory points is by crafting and, like, doing resource management and things like that.
Okay. Get the
So-
engine rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's their big thing, right?
Okay.
Is resource management and engine building.
Infrastructure and that kind
Yep.
of thing. Yeah.
The second one are the Iries. Those
Okay.
are the bird folk.
Bird folk.
Yep. And they are all programming.
Tell me what programming is.
So programming is if you, I know that I want to do, like, I want to move this piece here, I want to build this here, and I want to attack here, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to play cards that will fit into those categories. That's how programming works in this game. Programming could also be like, I'm going to lay out 3 cards, right? And one could be a move, a turn, and a turn, right?
Okay.
Think of, like, programming like a robot, right?
Okay.
So if I tell the robot to move forward, right, then somebody else tells it to turn, somebody else tells it to move forward, right?
Yep.
So you're programming something, and then once everybody plays all their programs, it runs.
So is it kind of like just playing moves ahead? Sort of?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
In Root, you have the Eries have a board, right?
Okay.
And at the top of the board are the various actions that they have.
Okay.
So one is recruiting, right? One is moving, one is building roost, and one is battling,
Okay.
right? And you play cards to those different actions, and the cards have a symbol on it. Whenever you go to take that action, you have to do every single card in that action. If I play a mouse card
Okay.
on the recruit space, but I don't own a mouse place, I can't recruit.
So you could mess yourself up.
You can mess yourself up pretty dramatically.
I see.
And so what you end up doing is if you can't take an action, you have to go into decline, you lose victory points, and it resets everything. So then
Okay.
you're back down to just 2 basic actions.
So basically, if you're playing the programming, you're kind of looking at what everyone else is doing, and you got to program your path ahead of time.
Yep, exactly. And you have to remember that, like, like the building, right? You can't build where you've already built before.
Oh boy!
So you have to think about that ahead of time.
When we play Root, I should not be those people.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. When we play Root, you're going to play as the Woodland Alliance.
Tell me more.
So the Woodland Alliance, they are everybody else besides the Marquita cat and the Eries, right?
Okay.
So the birds and the cats are battling each other, right?
I see.
The Woodland Alliance is everybody else.
They're just kind of neutral.
They're trying to overthrow everybody else, and they want like everybody to live in harmony, right?
By killing everybody.
By killing everybody.
I
Correct.
see.
Their big thing is they place sympathy tokens. So these sympathy tokens, they get to place at the beginning of the game. You get to place one anywhere, right?
Okay.
And then going forward, they have to be adjacent.
Okay.
But what happens is they then gather supporters for different regions. And once they have a certain number of supporters in a region, they then pop up a base. And then that base becomes like their base of operations where they can recruit and build
okay.
and do all that.
Unlike the other two, which basically have that already set up for them.
Yep, exactly. So the Woodland Alliance is area control.
What kind of animals are they? All different types?
They're foxes, they are mice, they are
Warthogs?
sure. There could be a warthog in
Velociraptors?
there. Yeah, why not?
Awesome.
So their big thing is area control. So they want to control as much of the map as possible, and that's how they gain
And at the
victory
beginning,
points.
most of the cats are everywhere. So you
Correct.
got to take over them.
Yep,
I see.
exactly.
But watch out for them programming birds.
Yep. And then the last character, which
Mm-hmm.
is the one I played, was the Vagabond.
Okay.
So the Vagabond's an interesting character wherein normally characters can only move between clearings, right?
Okay.
The Vagabond can actually move through forests, so they can move like in between spaces, basically.
Oh. Now, are they humans?
No, the Vagabond is a raccoon.
Trash pandas.
Yes.
I see.
And so their big mechanic is giving players cards after they craft an item. So the items are then used by the Vagabond to do their actions. So they get to go exploring, they get to complete quests.
So they do things based on what other people have done?
Correct. Yeah.
They react to things.
Yep. They so say that you as the Eries, right, crafted a lantern, right?
Okay.
That lantern would allow me to go exploring. Right? And exploring typically would give me will allow me to complete quests and get more items and stuff.
Okay.
So I give you a card, right? Mm-hmm. You have to give me the item. That's just how it works because you have no use for the items.
Right.
Only I do.
Okay.
So I give you the card, you give me the item, and then I get to use the item to do my actions.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and then at the beginning of each turn, I get to refresh 3 items.
Oh, that sounds neat. Like, I'd like to play it, and it sounds like a game I'd like to play multiple times, try all the different classes out.
Yeah, there's a lot of replayability just because everybody's different. The expansion adds 2 more races as well.
Again, just asymmetrical weirdos that just come out of nowhere.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of weirdness. Like when we first played it, it was very hard to learn. We played this at Gen Con for the first time.
I see.
It was very hard to learn.
And even when they brought it over to your place, you're like, was it weird to pick up and start again? You had to refresh yourself? It was pretty easy. Once you get it, you get it.
Once you get it, you get it. But each, like I said, each race does their own thing.
You have to get each race.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very similar to like in Scythe where each faction has their own mech abilities, right?
Right.
And they each do something a little bit different. A much larger scale where you're playing almost a completely different game
Right.
inside of the same game.
Huh. Gotcha.
So very interesting, very cool.
What would you give it out of 10? Or is it too early to tell?
I've only played one complete game.
Okay, so not too early to tell.
Yeah. But I did pre-order my own copy. It should be here in a couple weeks.
Oh,
We
cool.
can
Yeah, I'd
all
like to check it out when you get
play
it.
together. Yeah.
Okay, here's a game that I played recently that totally surprised me. It's not fantastic by any means, but I was expecting it to be god-awful. Is the Uncharted board game.
Oh boy.
Okay, let me explain, right? So in the Uncharted board game, it's really more of a card game, right?
Okay.
And what you do is you have a character and you're trying to complete you're trying to get through this deck of cards, and the deck is treasures and enemies, right?
Okay.
So you have to collect treasures and action cards to be able to deal with enemies that show up and gain victory points. Whoever gets the most points wins.
Okay.
Pretty basic. All your action cards in your hand, and they all cost a certain number of discards. So you have to decide
Okay.
Oh, if I want to attack this turn, I have to discard my move card because
Sure.
it costs 1. It's one of those type of
Sure.
costs. That's very bare bones. The thing that surprised me was there's like 4 or 5 variants in the book for this silly little cheap video game based game, and they're all pretty neat. Like so the base one is you're all explorers and you're trying to collect the most victory points checking out this island. If you play the more advanced way, on the other side of the player cards is like advanced character triggers that, like, if you have certain card layouts or if you have certain health points, you get new abilities. So it's
Okay.
like an advanced version of the same thing.
Right.
Then they have player deathmatch where you're all on the island together, but you're trying to kill each other.
Oh, interesting.
And then they have the solo version where it's a survival, see how many enemies you can kill.
Right.
And they have random boss cards that you shuffle in there.
Gotcha.
So the gameplay is actually pretty solid. I think it didn't really have to be an Uncharted game. I mean, I don't know anything about Uncharted because I don't have a PlayStation, but it could have been any other type of adventure game.
Gotcha.
And it runs really well, and it's pretty clear, and I was surprised.
On that similar vein of like games that have a lot of modes, Tiny Epic Zombies has 5 different modes.
That's awesome. Oh, goodness.
So there's a solo mode.
Okay.
There's a competitive survival mode.
Okay.
There's a co-op survival mode, and then there's a competitive and co-op 3v1. So
Oh, boy.
where one player plays the zombies.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. That sounds a lot like a variant of the not Game of Thrones, Walking Dead Risk, where someone can be the zombies.
Okay.
And that's a game you should maybe check out one time. It's the least. It's not really Risk, but it's a neat game.
Yeah.
It just takes the combat from Risk and then
Yeah.
yeah.
I do like games that have a lot of variants, though. Like
Different ways to play.
Yeah.
And other things like even just advanced versions of the same game.
yeah.
You get good at this, hey, try this, try adding this.
Yeah.
And it pumps it up.
And to me, like solo is like my first like addition. Like if I can play a game solo, great.
Right.
Variants on top of that are just, icing on the cake.
Right. The one thing I noticed component-wise about the Uncharted game is it's made by it's made by Bandai, right? And it has a Japanese game designer and stuff. And I've noticed from Asian games, a lot of their game presentation has like really super glossy pieces and like not like the board is very shiny and stiff, and the cards are not cushioned at all. And they're all like that super glossy kind of, almost like photo paper kind of stuff.
So I don't know if we want to get into this or not.
Okay.
But there are really 3 unique component areas.
Okay.
Right. So there's China, who is really good at boards. They're really good at like miniatures, plastic pieces. They're really good at meeples. They're terrible at cards.
Okay.
There's Europe, who's really good at cards, really good at like those recessed, so like the scythe boards. You know, how those are
like the cardboard layered.
yeah, they're really good at those, and they're really good at boxes.
Okay,
Fantastic,
but not
at
so
boxes.
good at.
Not so good at miniatures. Not so good at meeples. They're okay with boards. They're not the best,
But it's just a board.
it's just a board.
Right.
And then there's America.
Let's get you all to do it.
Right. America has come a decent way with cards.
Yeah.
And I think that's just
Well,
because
I think I would argue that the American Playing Card Company has the best cards, probably in mass production. Sure, there are artisan cards that you can get from other countries, but they make like 100 decks a year, right?
Sure. But
From a board game standpoint.
yeah,
Okay.
the American Playing Card Company just does playing cards.
Right.
They don't do board game cards.
You know what company has really good cards? Gamewright.
GameRite typically has pretty good cards. They're European, so that would make
Well,
sense.
that makes sense. I thought they were American.
And I'm pretty sure most of their stuff is produced in Europe.
Okay.
And,
Well, they have awesome cards.
yeah. Who else? The Mind had kind of crappy cards.
Yeah, and they were that similar, super glossy Dollar Tree playing cards.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I was going to complain about the Uncharted game. All the artwork is just stills from the games.
Yeah.
So it's this what do you call it? Like polygonal kind of characters and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to cut money somewhere.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like licensing for those types of games are super expensive.
Right, but I don't think that sold him anything.
Yeah. Something interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you played this as a kid, but growing up, we played the Star Wars RPG, like
never played
pretty significantly.
Okay.
Right. So, fun fact: they just came out with their 30th anniversary Fantasy Flight.
Okay.
Just came out with the 30th anniversary edition, which is a straight reprint of the original book.
Oh wow!
All the original art, all the original
What?
mistakes in the book. They didn't change
they
anything.
didn't change anything.
Yeah, they just picked it up
That's
and
kind of
reprinted it.
interesting.
Then they have like another they have a flourished book that comes with it, which is like updated a little bit.
Okay.
But the cool thing about this is that it was all based on 6-sided dice.
Oh, neat. Okay, like
that's all you-
Fudge and GURPS and all those guys.
Yeah, but these are just standard 6-sided dice, and that
Yeah.
was all you needed.
Okay.
You didn't need a D4, a D8,
Right.
Then you need all these fancy dice. You could just go grab the dice out of Monopoly
and just play with those,
right?
which is kind of neat.
Anywho, the company that originally made that, and the name is
Okay.
right over top of me right now.
Yep.
They originally made that. They bought the licenses for Star Wars for $100,000.
That seems very cheap.
It's extremely cheap.
Right.
Now this
This is
came
before Disney.
way before Disney.
Yeah.
This is in the 80s.
Oh, this is okay. So they own. Okay.
But this was after the original trilogy completed.
Right.
Right. So Star Wars was kind of dying out. It
ran its course at that
it still
point.
had its core fans.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't like pop culture, right?
Okay.
And so they beat out another company who bid to LucasArts for $70,000,
Okay.
right? And LucasArts said, "Well, there's this person paying us $100,000. Here we go, right?"
Yeah.
And so they went and they got like the first drawings of like the AT-AT. They had the the first drawings of all the lightsabers and all that, and they
Cool.
were the
like
first.
the concept art kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they took that and put it into the game.
oh, what? Wow,
And,
that's super neat.
Imagine the time before the internet, right? Where
Yeah.
you couldn't look up stuff.
No.
So people were buying this just as like an art book.
Right. And now it's reprinted?
And now it's been reprinted, yeah. It's super great. The game was super fun too. It was
Yeah.
just like,
I love RPGs.
Yeah.
I don't play them enough, but yeah, they're super fun.
they're just pick up and go. You roll 6 dice and these are your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those games that, that was probably the first game that I played outside of Monopoly.
Okay.
But that was like the first game that I played that led into the life of despair that I'm in now.
All right, great. So that was your introduction to what we now call board games, besides like Monopoly and
Besides Monopoly and like Sorry and all that,
Okay.
What I would call classics,
sure,
right?
Parker
Which,
Brothers.
by the way, my favorite classic game is Aggravation.
That's not that's Perfection with the shapes. What's Aggravation? Which one is
Aggravation's the one with the marbles where you're going around the Sorry-esque board.
Oh, that's not the tilty one, is it?
No.
No.
Aggravation, you had imagine like an asterisk, right?
Okay.
And your pieces were little marbles.
Okay.
And they went around this board. It was just a roll and move, right?
Okay.
But the cool thing is that you could like double and triple jump. So you could set up your pieces, right, to where they were stacked next to each other, and then your third piece could jump over them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds kind of cool.
It was super fun. It was just like,
it's just what it is.
yeah, my
I don't think I've ever played Aggravation.
Really?
Maybe it's the title that turned me off.
You were also in Canada. I don't know if it was in Canada.
I don't know. We had Sorry.
Sorry.
We had Sorry. Oh, I have a picture to show you later. I went to Five Below, and they had a game called No Apologies.
What's No Apologies?
It's Sorry, but it's called No Apologies.
Stop. Is it?
I wish it was Nirvana themed, or that would be All Apologies. That's a game you don't even play.
I'm showing Chris the Aggravation board, and you look and see there's stars in the middle, and those were shortcuts. So you could shortcut through the board.
That sounds fun.
But then you also needed you needed to control so many. I can't remember. I think it was 3 of them. You had to control 3 of them to win the game.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Game was super fun. So other than the classics,
Right.
Star Wars
Your
RPG.
gateway game was the Star Wars RPG.
And that was only because my best friend growing up, his dad was super into RPGs.
Okay.
Like he's the one that I still play that that ongoing D&D campaign
Oh,
with.
right. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
With me, my favorite classic game is Clue. Still is. Love Clue. And we also played a ton of Sorry. Growing up, around when I was like 9 or 10, so like in 1805, we had my grandpa got me the D&D box set, like the old school
The starter set.
starter set, old basic D&D, and I played the shit out of that. And I played with my whole family. We all played D&D, and that was what got me into gaming, I think.
Gotcha.
After that, we always had a game night, like my family. Like it was like Friday night or something. We'd just have a game.
Yeah.
And so we'd end up with a lot of games on our shelves. 13 Dead End Drive was a big one. Nothing too heavy though. We played a few game right games. So yeah, I feel I've been playing like board games and stuff my entire life, but more the lighter fun stuff.
We played a lot of card games,
Okay.
like as a family. We played what's that? Five Kings.
Okay. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Rook. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then again to my teenage years, and oh boy,
Oh boy. Okay.
this drug called Magic the Gathering
Oh no. Yep.
took over my life.
Okay.
For a solid 2 years.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. I was in middle school, and I got my 4th edition first starter deck, and then an Ice Age came out. This was a long time ago. But yeah, I played a lot of that. But that was it was different playing Magic then than it was now, right? Like there was no internet, at least when I was growing up. So we had to get those Scry magazines, look up prices and deck lists and stuff. It was just
Well, you just and the other thing is that you just trusted the shop,
right.
right? If you wanted a single, you bought it from the shop. Mm-hmm.
I just hope that was it.
Yep.
Yep.
I took a couple years off of Magic because I got into a different hobby
Okay.
called Mage Knight.
Oh boy, you just go for the expensive stuff, don't you?
I don't know what it was, man. Like, I saw Mage Knight and I'm like, man, this is cool. Played
That's
a couple
cool.
games of it and I was like really into it. But I was really into, I think it was called Mage Knight Dungeon.
Okay.
It was the dungeon crawl version of Mage
Ooh, that
Knight.
sounds fun.
So instead of it being like player versus player, right,
Okay.
you took like a group of people down through this dungeon, and you would like collect treasure chests and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
But even the treasure chests were random. Like you would close it, and there would be a dial on the side, and you would turn it.
Wow, that sounds
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it was super
Nice.
fun. I played Mage Knight for a while. That led into Warhammer.
That's another expensive one. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went with the cheap stuff. In my mind, well, at that point it was expensive, but after the D&D stuff, I started playing D&D with my friends, and that led into World of Darkness RPGs, played all of those. And then we played Hero Quest, and what's that other horrible one with the VHS? Dragon Strike.
Dragon Strike,
We played that. We played not Hero Clicks. HeroScape,
the hexagon ones?
Yep, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, we played that quite a bit. But yeah, that was basically those kind of things. We played BattleTech a lot. I had a bunch of friends in high school that we played BattleTech.
Yeah.
The old FASA one, and then from there it just sort of kept going.
What would you consider like your first modern hobby game that you bought?
Besides like collectible card games like Magic the Gathering, I think I was more into RPGs. I don't really think I had like a board game one that I can think of. What about you?
The first board game
Okay,
that I bought, I still to this day,
have it.
I still have it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't dread playing it, but it's just not as enjoyable for me anymore.
Okay.
Betrayal.
Oh, Betrayal. See, that's where we have our age difference in Betrayal. Because I didn't know about Betrayal till Evie told me about it.
I've played Betrayal at least 1,200 times in my life.
I think I played it 12. Yeah.
We played that game so much.
So you beat it into the ground.
Yeah.
You're just kind of done with it. What about the Baldur's Gate one? Is it not different enough?
It still feels the same.
Feel the same?
Like the.
Are you worried about Legacy? Do you think that would revitalize you a little bit in that? Or do you think it'll be more of...
I'm gonna get it and play it. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I'm worried about the legacy aspect of like having to play it over and over again.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
like, oh, what have I dived into?
But at the same time, it's like I'm gonna get it.
You already took my money.
But yeah, it's one of those games where we played it so much. Like
Yeah, I
we
never
would,
played it very
we would
much.
do back-to-back sessions.
Wow.
Like we would be up till like 4 a.m.
I
playing
guess I can
Betrayal.
understand
And we
that.
played it with everybody. We played it with friends' parents. We played it with family. We played it with everybody.
It's a great game, but I can understand you getting tired of it.
Yeah, it was super great for the first 2.5 years I played it.
Right.
But you have to understand, like, in my teenage years, that was it. Like, that was the only, like, boxed board game that I had.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, we didn't, besides, like, Aggravation and Sorry and stuff,
Okay.
like, that was the only, like, hobby board game we had.
Right. I think I guess the only other hobby board game I had that me and my friends had multiple sets of was Battletech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably what it would be.
Yeah.
Like we started with the little cardboard cutouts that they have and the little
Right.
peg stands, and then we eventually got the little miniatures.
Yeah.
We never got into the board building. Like we just used the maps.
I think Battletech is a little bit different because you're actually, like, there's a lot of luck involved in it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And B, it's just a death match.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we played City Tech where there's objectives, but the objectives are murder everybody.
right. There's no tactics. There
are plenty of
There's
tactics.
tactics. There's no like strategy, right? Like there's tactics to where like I want to try and hit this guy, right?
Yes.
For this much damage and protect myself from damage in the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no like overarching strategy of like
No. I can see what you're saying. There's no like long game
Right.
to Battletech.
it is who's closest to me.
Who am I going to shoot?
Yeah.
And we did play with multiple mechs, so you do have to kind of put that into perspective, like send your little guys running around the side and stuff. And
Yeah.
And we played with infantry a couple times, but even then, it's just who
I
can
never
die?
liked the infantry.
They seemed a little. I just step on them.
They tried to make the infantry. Do you remember the Mech Warrior? Mm-hmm. That was the clicks based game.
I didn't play it, but I know what you're talking about.
That game was expensive.
Well, all these games are expensive. It's a hobby like anything else, you know.
But you love Betrayal.
I do, but I can see. But I've only played it about a dozen times.
Yeah, and that blows my mind. Like for me, like
Well, I didn't buy that game until its second reprint for my birthday that one time in Williamsburg. I've played it not a whole lot of times.
yeah, I've had that game for 13 years.
Yeah, I didn't know about
It's
it.
a different thing.
I never heard
you know
about
what I mean? I had a very tight group of friends, right? And so we were always hanging out.
Yeah.
Like it took a lot for you to be able to come into our group of friends.
Oh yeah,
you
sure.
know?
Yeah, I get it.
And we all really enjoyed it, and we were all like, "Let's play this
play
game.
that.
Let's
Let's
play
play
it.
that.
Let's play it."
Yeah, and then also you have that adolescent mentality of the repetition thing when you get in your routine.
We also had a lot of like,
Baja Blast.
we had this really weird rule,
Okay.
right? Where when we played back-to-back sessions, if and I think everyone kind of house rules it, where if we got a haunt that either A, we didn't want to do,
Yeah.
or B, that we had already done, we would basically go back. So we would say, what was the last omen in the last room?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because there are rules in the book that tell you what to do in those situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't even played all the ones of the base game, all the scenarios.
I'm pretty sure I played all of them.
Yeah, there's 50, and there's 50 in the expansion. I
Yeah.
like the stories of the expansion ones. I feel the gameplay isn't nearly where the first one game was.
No.
Baldur's Gate is great. Like I like
I think you like the theme of that one a lot.
I like the theme of that one. I honestly like the haunted house theme a little bit better, but I find like there's a few more game elements in the Baldur's Gate one, like the character abilities that are different.
Yeah.
You know, I find that the what do you call them? The haunt cards or the
The
encounter
omens?
cards.
Oh, the encounters.
Yeah, they're a lot more varied
Sure.
in the Baldur's Gate one.
Sure.
The doors are a little wonky to me still.
Oh, the
But-
colored doors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't have to. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's what it is.
So what was your... Yeah, I guess you didn't have a first boxed game. First boxed hobby
I
game.
remember being really excited to open. It wasn't a box hobby game, but it was a big box game. It was that Siege, Weapons and Warriors. I was so excited. That was my big Christmas present that year. I lost so many of those balls down the drain. I think I hit my cat once.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was great. I loved
Yeah, that
it.
game was fun. I enjoyed playing that a lot. But it was one of those games that took up a lot of space.
Oh yeah,
You know?
it's a whole room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Siege was great. And now look where we're at, right?
right.
Like-
Absolutely.
The hobby has changed significantly even the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Do you think it's because of YouTube research, like the research is due to like YouTube channels that deal with board games and stuff, like the?
I think the media coverage came because the hobby was growing.
Okay.
Right. I think the hobby's growing. Honestly, as bad as it sounds, right? It started growing because of the recession.
Okay.
People weren't going out as much.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
They wanted to be able to do stuff more in their house. People were more about like, let's get friends and family around the table type thing.
Right.
And that's where we saw this resurgence of board games and video games, quite honestly.
Yeah. What can we do at home without going out and spending money?
Exactly. Yeah. And if I can spend, even $60 on a game, right?
That'll last me for a long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what really grew the hobby. And then it, I think in the next year or so, we'll see it plateau.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think we're getting to the point where there needs to be another renaissance happening. We're reaching the end of our current renaissance.
Okay. What do you think would trigger that? I think board games would kind of dip down for a while. Someone else would take its place.
I don't think it'll dip down. I think it'll stay where it's at.
Okay.
Do I think that there's a bubble that's going to burst? Yeah, probably. But for me, like, I don't see this as an investment.
Oh, no.
There are plenty of gamers who are like, this is an investment for me.
Right. I mean,
like, it is, right? It totally is, but I have no intention. Like,
invested to me is I'm going to put money into something, do stuff with it, and maybe sell it for a profit later.
Sure.
I'm not going to do that.
Right. Well, think of it like magic boxes, right? People will buy magic boxes as if they are like stock.
Okay.
And then they'll go back and sell them later for double or triple.
Oh, sure.
Because that's just how that market works, right?
Now, there is that thing where, like, some of the games I look at for, like, nostalgic purposes that are out of print, they're real expensive.
Sure. I have a board game that's going for like $250.
Yeah.
Right? I've played it once in my life.
But it's opened.
But it's open.
So, yeah.
But it opened, it's going for $250.
Oh, okay.
Closed, it's going for like $400.
Wow.
But it's one of those things where, like, it's been sitting under my bed. Like, it's moved with me multiple times. It's not like one of those things where, like, I'm not keeping like an active monetary number of like, all right, this game's worth this much, this game's worth this much.
Right. You're not doing it for the money.
In Magic, I do that. Right. Like, I'm very tied to like, card prices.
You're doing
like,
the stocks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't do that with board games. And there's totally a market out there for it.
Oh, yeah.
I find that board games are just like much more enjoyable for me.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, sure, my shelf of shame is, 14 titles long right now.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I'm going through a period now where I'm acquiring a bunch of stuff. But there's going to be a dry spell because nothing's going to come out.
Right.
Like,
nothing that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Right.
December through about June is like a dry spell for me.
I see.
I typically buy all my stuff in the back half of the year.
Okay.
And that's just how it's worked out. Like, the games typically get released, in the summer.
Okay.
Summer to holiday.
Okay.
Right?
It's the hot time.
Yeah. Yep. And then the rest of the time
they're
developing and getting ready
that makes sense.
for the next year.
Yeah, sure. It's good to ride that wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really follow games a lot, except for when I hear from you or from, conventions, or if, there's a YouTube channel that says something about it.
Meaning you don't follow, like, the industry, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't look at, I'm more excited about, like, when a cool theme is coming out or a really cool artwork is coming out, but I don't really follow companies individually.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't, like, you're not saying that you don't have brand loyalty. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. I do have... I don't follow, like...
like, you don't follow, like, Gray Fox to see what their new next game is.
Right.
You're just looking... Like, you may look at the brand afterwards.
The game hits me... The advertisements of the game hits me first, right? And I see the artwork and the layout and what kind of game it is. And then if I see that it's a brand that I know that I like, then I'll be even more on board for that.
Yeah.
But I don't look at that first.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no, like, specific brands that I'm like, oh, only these guys, and that's it.
Yeah. One interesting thing, we've never formally talked about this. I follow this rule pretty drastically.
Okay.
I kind of consider our libraries to be shared.
Okay.
Meaning that I would never buy a game that you have.
Okay.
For example, you backed Court of the Dead, right? I canceled my pledge to Court of the Dead.
Right.
Because I was planning on getting it, but then you said you were getting it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, in a game group, right, one person's game is not going to get played.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I have other people I game with, but not to the point of, like, it's worth it for me to get this. I have 114 games in my collection, right?
Right.
I don't need to have that one game just to duplicate it for the...
And the other thing, too, is, like, if you end up really liking something, pick it up down the line later if need be.
I don't think I'd ever do that, though. Yeah. Like, I don't think I'd ever pick up Scythe.
Really? Yeah.
just because you have it.
Right. That makes sense.
And who else am I going to play it with?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, play it with my other gaming friends, but more than likely they have a copy.
Somebody has it, right?
You know what
That's
I mean?
what it is. That makes sense.
So while, I have a bunch of games, I try not to duplicate them. And I think
That makes sense.
something that Fantasy Flight's trying to combat, right? With this new, like, unique game thing.
What do you mean by that?
So there's just they're starting this unique line of games, right?
Okay.
So they have a new game coming out where each game is different. Not the mechanics. Like, all the mechanics are the same. All the rules are the same.
Okay.
But there might be different cards or different pieces or different spaces.
Oh.
And so they're all like different versions, right?
Oh, boy.
And every game is unique,
Oh, that's dirty.
right?
That's a dirty trick right there.
So that I think they're starting to see that, right? They're starting to see that these game groups are getting smarter, and like, why would I buy? Why are two people in the same game group gonna buy a game?
An identical game.
An identical game.
But if they had like Super Scythe or something like that,
Right.
you might pick that up,
Right.
Because it's different.
But then it becomes a scenario, right? Not that the publishers care,
Right.
but it becomes a scenario of, well, I like Johnny's version more than I like Dave's version. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. You're never gonna please everybody.
It's just interesting, like,
It's a neat trick, but it's dirty.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see like how the hobby is evolving like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the other big thing that we're seeing is a bigger focus on there's two real types of games, right? There are your heavy, big box, multiple hour long games. Mm-hmm. There's filler games.
True. Yeah.
Right? And then off of there it branches off into
Absolutely,
1,000
yeah.
genres.
Right,
but those are the two big things.
I think RPGs are also big, but I think they're a completely different thing
I
altogether.
think it's a completely different scenario,
Yeah.
right? I'm talking boxed board games.
Right.
Right? From there, right, it branches off into a million different things. But
Sure.
most things fall into those two categories.
Yeah.
What's funny is that most companies fit into one of those two categories,
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
right?
Sure.
So, like, somebody like...
Like Fantasy Flight, it's heavier. Game Right, it's lighter.
yeah, Game Right is probably half and half. Game Right's probably, like, the exception to the rule.
Okay.
But, like, you look at somebody like, like Druid City,
Okay.
right? Grim Forest, Everdell, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Feel like that's on the heavier side. It's not heavy, right?
Right, but it's on that side of
It's not a
things.
filler game.
Right.
Then you look at somebody like Pocket Games, right? They do all the wallet size.
Oh, those little
like,
tiny dude.
yeah. They're over here in the filler games. So it's just interesting that like that's what it's come down to is we have 1,000 publishers now,
Right.
but they fit into two big categories.
That's true. That makes
You know?
sense. Yeah. And that's generally, I mean, that's kind of the population too.
Yeah,
There are some people that don't want to think; they just want to play a game.
yeah.
And there's some people that want to do the opposite, want to sit down and do the business.
But also,
I kind of feel I have different days. Sometimes I want to do one or the other.
yeah. The solo thing is a big thing that's coming up and coming. You know, people
Is
like
it up and coming? Is it like becoming a big thing, or is it always been kind of like not an underground, but like a
it's been there, right? But it hasn't been something that's been included because publishers didn't think that people wanted that.
right
They assume that you're buying this game to play with the people at the table.
which is usually what I do.
Yeah, but
It's nice to have. I do like the solo modes sometimes. Just like the Scythe one, you can develop your skills with it.
I prefer solo modes in lighter games, actually.
Okay.
Like there's a solo mode for Imperial Assault. I don't think I'd ever play it
Yeah.
because I don't want to be with myself for that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like,
I mean, I played that Descent single player campaign and I beat it. Thank
Right.
goodness. I never want to play it again. I just wanted to beat it.
right, exactly.
I just wanted to beat it.
Like, and that's what I feel like a lot of the solo modes are, right? Is it's like you against the game, right? And there's a set amount or whatever.
Right.
But that is something that people are starting to include everywhere. Most games are coming out with single player versions, and if
Okay.
they don't, they're including it in an expansion.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I've had hit or misses with if they're super puzzly and I have to think really hard.
Yeah.
I'm not into it. It just is too much calculating for me.
The one bad thing that's happening to the industry that I do not like is all these companies,
Yep.
these gigantic companies like Cool Mini or Not, right, are using Kickstarter as a pre-order platform.
Oh.
So, Kickstarter is meant to help like smaller companies
Yeah,
get
right.
stuff off the ground.
Sure.
Right?
But you think the bigger companies are taking it over.
Cool Mini or Not, right?
Right.
There is no there's never a question that they are going to hit their goal.
Right.
Right?
They could probably buy out their own goal. Right.
Right. It's a glorified pre-order system for them.
Okay.
Now, do I have a problem with that? To a point.
Okay.
I think...
Does it affect the other companies? Does it damper them at all?
Well, when it comes out around the same time, it definitely can.
I see.
If you launch your Kickstarter next to a Cool Mini or Not Kickstarter, you're going to have a bad time.
Right.
Because that Cool Mini or Not Kickstarter, first of all, it's going to be at least $100.
Right.
At least, if not more. Because Cool Mini or Not just does big miniature games, right? Yep. So that hits people's wallets, right? And then
they have no more cash for
and
your
then
little,
they have, and
game.
when Cool Mini or Not is throwing in, all these stretch goals,
Sure.
and, you know what I mean?
Sure.
These essentially pre-order bonuses. Mm-hmm. I can see it. Like I see the appeal there. The other side of me, like I've been trying to avoid doing that.
Is it a moral conflict?
That's tough, right?
And are they going on Kickstarter rather than their own websites just to grab that
because people
audience?
are there? Yeah. And when you think about it, right?
It's smart. It's cutthroat, but it's smart.
Yeah, it's a 10% fee basically to have them host everything for you.
Right.
Which I get it. I would be very interested to see somebody like Cool Mini Not or Gray Fox or somebody of that like caliber, right? Create their own system.
Like a different website or just on their website or
On their website.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm surprised, yeah.
Like you already have a web store, right? I get that you like Kickstarters are great because 30 days, and a lot of these games aren't producing for a year.
Right. That's huge. Like
Right?
I know you've probably run into this where you order something on Kickstarter and you forgot you got it.
I have to. So, I was looking the other day, actually, we were comparing Kickstarters with our friends from Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I forgot I Kickstarted this. And then I looked, and it's shipping out in like a couple weeks. And I was like,
kind of neat. It's like
right?
a little present.
It just shows up at your door.
Yeah.
I don't get, people love to get into, the community, and, there's, Facebook groups and subreddits, and they, all talk about this game that's not coming out for another 11 months.
I'd rather wait till I get it.
I can't do that.
I don't like that. I also don't like watching movie trailers for movies that aren't coming out for another year. I'm like,
Well, and I think you just get too ingrained into it. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get really ingrained and really hyped about this game, and then it's when the smallest misstep happens, right?
You
when the
crumble
smallest
down,
delay
yeah.
happens, it you start flipping out.
yeah.
Lords of Hellas is a great example.
Okay.
Right? So Lords of Hellas was a game that I backed in June of 2017.
Holy monkeys.
Right? So, June of 2017 to back the game. Mm-hmm. Pledge Manager came out in September or August.
Okay.
Pledge Managers, basically, they launch after the campaign.
Okay.
And it's how companies help, you say, I pledged $140, right? And I want the base game and this many add-ons and all that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's typically how you pay for shipping and
Sure.
stuff like that. So, all that's handled in Pledge Manager. That closed in, November or December, right? And you could do either one wave or two wave shipping. So you can either say, I want my core box with everything, like all the expansions and the stretch goals and everything, or I want to pay shipping twice and I'll get it in 2 shipments. So I'll get all the stretch goals and stuff later, and I'll take the core box that's already ready to go now.
I think I would have rather do that.
Right. So originally, I did it all in one.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm willing to wait. No big deal. Whatever. Completely forgot about it. Logged in. Kickstarter, I was just backing something else, and I saw there was an update for it where they pushed back the delivery date until February of next year
Oh boy.
for all the expansions and
Right,
stretch goals and
right.
stuff. And I was like, man,
Should have gotten the base game.
is that really worth it to me, right?
Right.
And so then they were like, look, sorry, we're pushing this back. We're going to reopen the Pledge Manager, and if you want to switch, you can switch.
Okay.
So I switched, and that's how I got it. And I'm happy I did that, right? Because it allowed me to get the game quicker.
Yeah.
But there's people that are still complaining that, you originally said that it was going to ship next month. And it's like...
Stuff
dude,
happens.
yeah,
They gave you an out.
You got to understand, granted, this isn't their first game, but
Right.
it is a large miniature
Sure.
game. You know what I mean? With a lot of moving pieces, and they're
Yep.
changing rules, and they want to make sure everything's right. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that 1,000%. And companies like that, I want to see succeed.
Sure.
But then the Cool Mini or Not, people are going to buy your game anyways. People are going to buy Zombicide.
Right.
You know what I mean? People are going to buy the next cross. There's a new Zombicide coming out in space.
Of course there is.
Tell me who's not going to buy that.
I want it now.
Everyone's going to buy that.
That's so good.
But why does it need to be on Kickstarter?
It doesn't.
It doesn't, right?
They just want that exposure to that audience to jump on that.
And I get it. I get
But
it.
it's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way the world works.
But it'll be interesting to see, like, in a year, like, are people still using Kickstarter as, like, the marketing tool that it is now? It'll be interesting to see, you know, just where we are now, where are we going to be in a year,
Sure.
right?
So, yeah, speaking of which, where do you see things going in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years? Like, do you see a decline in where board games have, you know, become this big?
I think you're going to see an uptick in quality.
Okay.
And that's just because China is getting better and better every day.
Okay.
And obviously they're the cheapest.
Okay.
It does take longer because it has to go on a ship and then
Sure.
come over here.
Yeah.
But they are getting really good.
Really good. Really good.
You know, they're
stuff.
getting really good at, like, doing small stuff that you don't even think about, like UV spotting,
Right.
right?
Which looks super cool.
Looks great.
Yeah.
You know, card quality is going up, miniature
Right.
quality is going up, you know, and it's getting cheaper and quicker and more efficient.
Right.
So I think your component quality is going to go through the roof.
Sure. They can only get better.
I think that we're going to start to see a slowdown
Oh, yeah.
in games that come out.
Okay.
And I think that you're going to start to see, it's going to be similar to, like, remember when comic book movies first started coming out? Like this new wave, right? The new, like,
Yep.
Disney-esque
Yep.
movies, right? Where everybody starts to get a little bit of the same, and then there's the one guy who does something completely
Really
different, right?
Sure.
Like,
Just to pump more energy, because everyone got tired of those superhero movies.
the Deadpool,
Yeah.
right? Deadpool,
Deadpool.
was like the reinvigoration of the comic book hero.
Yeah. I
Right?
can see that. Yeah. Different type of movie altogether.
So that's bound to happen at some point.
Sure.
I would like to see people move away from this whole, like, let's take a bunch of mechanics and throw them together.
Okay.
Like right now when you see a game, right, it's typically like a whole bunch of mechanics re-engineered thrown together, right?
Sure. The only thing that's going to change is the theme at one point.
I can't remember the last time I saw a really innovative mechanic.
Okay. I would assume more people would have gone the electronic route and have like some sort of app that it attaches to their game that allows them to do things that way.
That's happening now.
Yeah.
That's happening now a lot. And I have a hard time supporting that. Where
You want your board game to be a board game?
I want to be able to play my board game even if you go under. For example, Gollum Arcana,
Okay.
right?
Oh, even if your company goes under.
Even
okay.
if your company goes, not
Okay.
if I go underwater.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay.
Gollum Arcana released on Kickstarter,
Yep.
backed great, everything shipped. App was a bunch of crap.
And that just killed the game.
It killed the
Killed
game,
the
right? People got irritated with it. They tried to fix it a couple times, still had problems with it, and then
Right.
the company went under, right?
Yep.
So now all these people have
these figures.
Have these figures. They
They
pumped
look cool.
hundreds of dollars into.
That they can't do anything with.
Sure, they can do stuff with them now,
But they're just figures.
but the game isn't there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And something like Expedition,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
You can't play Expedition without the app.
You need the app.
You have to have the app, right?
They have all these new expansions coming out for it.
Yeah, and that's a successful thing happening,
Right.
But what happens, right?
If the app goes under,
The app, you know,
you're left with these cards.
you can still play Don't Wake Daddy.
Yes, we can.
Right?
Yes, we can.
20 years later, 30
Right.
years later, you'll still be able to play Don't Wake
Yep.
Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
In 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
are you still going to be able to play Expedition?
Nope.
Probably not.
Nope. Nope. I don't
So-
think so.
I think the apps are great when they don't affect gameplay.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Like apps that like give you
That
like,
you're talking about games that like rely on the app.
right.
Yeah. Because like I like the Descent, I like the Imperial Assault, the apps for those.
That's great.
But they're not requirements.
I can still play Descent without
Right.
the app.
Exactly. It's just a neat little add-on.
It's a neat little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it's free.
I do like board games as apps though. Right?
Oh, okay. Like a board game, like Splendor and
Scythe and stuff
Scythe.
like that.
I haven't played Scythe on computer yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like it.
I don't think you would.
I don't think so. I liked
You can't take
Suro.
backsies.
I like Suro on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soro's a fun little like quick
I don't know
thing.
if it's just the takesy backsies. I just like the physical interaction of Scythe. Like I like actually the tactile moving things.
and to be fair, right? You've spent a lot of money on that game.
Not as much. I got the game for free.
Actually, have you spent any money on that game? I don't think so. You haven't spent anything on Scythe, but you
my
haven't.
favorite game. I'm super pumped up. I don't think I put a single dollar into that game.
The foam insert.
Jenny got that for me.
Dude,
I'm never going to.
you literally haven't spent a dime on this game. That's why it's your favorite.
Favorite. It was a super bargain.
But that it's super pimped out, right?
Yes.
So why would you ever want to play a digital version?
I have like some friends that don't live here that would want to play it, but I would much rather them come over and visit and play.
Right.
It's just I don't think I'd like it. I'd have to, I'm not going to mock it because I haven't even seen it.
Right.
I would be willing to give it
It's
a shot.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
I just have to see how I like it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just like, D&D went this route, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, buy the books online so you can use all our tools.
I didn't like that. My biggest problem, and I don't know product control. I don't really know how this would work, but I just feel like it was kind of a low blow to like have. But I have friends that bought all these books, and then the app comes out, and they can't somehow prove that they own the book and put it into the app. There's no like code,
Right.
which I feel there should be. I buy music books all the time, and then they have a code in them. I put them in my library online, and it gives me PDFs of everything.
Well, and it's just like Pokemon, the card game.
Okay.
There's little inserts in there
Yeah.
where you get to redeem the booster pack in the digital version as well. It's the same
Why
thing.
didn't they do something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they came too far apart, or I don't know.
No.
They just want to make money.
They just want
They
to...
make money.
It's a completely separate thing to them, right? And it shouldn't be. Charge me $15 more and give me the digital version,
Yeah.
right?
Why not? Yeah. But it's what they do.
But it's just like, Scythe, the digital version, is like $15.
Okay. It does include both expansions and everything? Like the extra factions that aren't in the base game?
It includes the extra factions, doesn't include like the Wing Gamut stuff. I think that's like $5 more or something like that.
That's it.
But still,
that's not.
it's
Yeah.
$15.
Yeah.
It's not having to rebuy Scythe.
Right.
It's
That,
not having
I
to-
agree.
It's not having to pay $60.
Yeah, that
You know
seems a
what I
little
mean?
hefty.
But it'll be interesting to see where the gaming industry goes. I hope we're still here. I love board gaming.
I do too. I think we also approach it from different standpoints. Like I look at it more from the pop culture side of things, and you look at it more from the industry side of things. Whereas I've noticed, even though it had a big flux of popularity, I've known a lot of people like loving board games online and stuff. I've seen it kind of plateau, and I don't see it.
I agree.
Growing.
I agree.
I think it's kind of like I'm RPGs with the big resurgence of D&D stuff is still kind of going strong. I think, but I don't think.
I think the one thing you'd be surprised of,
Okay.
and I don't mean any offense when I say this,
Right.
is you haven't experienced a convention.
Right, which I'm excited to do.
So, and granted, I've never been to PAX Unplugged, but there's so many different gamers out there,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Like there were people at Gen Con who were buying Machi Koro. The levels of gamers, right, go higher than us, like much higher, and go way lower than us. Like there's people that are like casual play game once a month.
Yeah. Right.
Then there are people that we have a standing game night,
Yeah, which is when you get to be a working man and you have the families and stuff, it's hard to keep that stuff going.
Well, and that's why they have they have this scheduled
They have
things.
to make it
They
a-
have to have a scheduled
ritual,
thing,
right.
But then that becomes like a much deeper thing. They're like, all right, we're gonna play X, Y, and Z games. We're gonna play these games in between.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's a huge swath of people that are enveloped in the gaming industry.
Okay.
There are people that would love an app-based game.
Sure.
People that would, even me. I love Weave. Weave is
Weave's good.
fantastic.
Yep.
But it's one of those things where it's like the industry is only going to grow if we continue to innovate.
Absolutely.
I don't see it declining anytime soon.
Okay.
At least not in the next 12 months.
Okay.
I do see it curling off and plateauing, and I think what's going to happen is we're going to end up seeing a definite release season.
Okay.
Because that's the biggest thing, right? Is like so many games don't have street dates.
Okay.
It's like this releases in October. We don't have an exact date yet.
Remember
right?
when albums released, like music?
Yeah,
love that.
on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
It was,
Hooray.
it was always on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Same thing with Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yep.
Right? Always on Tuesdays. Video games were always on Fridays.
Midnight release. I remember going to those.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's stuff like that where
Yeah.
like you have to have a set day, first of all, and then the whole industry just has to abide by that, right?
Right.
It makes it easier for retailers if they know, the next Imperial Assault is going to hit my stores on August the 14th.
Right. Right.
I can take pre-orders for it then. I know that, we can have this big event around it, and they can have, weeks and weeks leading up to it.
Sure.
Right now, retailers don't know if they're going to get it in stock that week or not.
Yeah, so it's hard for them to. Yeah.
They may not know, but 10 days in advance that they're going to get something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They make a pre-order with their distributor, but then they don't know it's coming.
That makes it difficult.
And it makes it difficult on the gamers too, because it's like, I've heard a lot about this game. I really want it.
Right.
You know, and then nobody knows about it. It releases. The hardcore gamers go out and get it.
Right.
Right?
Then it's gone.
And then it's gone. It's sold out. And then you have to wait another 6 months for another reprint.
Right.
And it's the most frustrating thing about being a board gamer is that if you're not into it,
you're going to miss it.
You miss out.
Yep.
And then you feel defeated. You're like, oh man, like I missed it. Like I'm really disappointed. Or you go to eBay and pay double the price.
Yeesh. Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's why I'm friends with you, because you can just take care of all that for me. I haven't played it. I haven't paid $1.
I haven't bought anything in my collection.
Oh boy.
God.
Oh, that's so funny that we just realized that. Yeah. But you think there's going to be like an ebb and a flow to it. There's going to be some big release seasons and
yeah, I do think that, you know, I think the release season now where it is of like the June to November, I think that's going to stay pretty stagnant.
Okay.
I do think the big thing is going to be people are going to start adding street dates.
Okay.
And
that'll
I hope
that'll
they
add
do.
some hype. That'll add some
and it allows,
board game store events to be
it allows
planned.
your retailers to get more into it.
Because that's the thing is you need to. The whole thing about a local game store is the community. You know, you want to get the people involved in it, and if there's no events happening, if there's no things, I'm not going to go.
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
Because you're never going to be able to beat the prices of some of these online things. But in order to get your loyalty from your local gamers, you just need to.
Well, I think that you know developers can help with that too. With you know. Pre-order promos and things like that.
Sure.
Like
get it from your local game store, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's, you know, pennies for the developers to create these things, right?
Right.
Why not just add them in, you know?
Throw them in there.
And then, you know, when you're given a street date, then they can start promoting it, you know, and maybe have a release party or whatever. Right. But yeah, I agree. You know, I try to support my Atlantis, my local game store as much as I can, but at the same time, if I don't know that you're going to have this,
right, then I'm going to pre-order something that can guarantee it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And that's just how it goes sometimes. Because when it comes down to it, it is business. So any parting words before I murder you?
No, I don't think so.
I enjoy games. I know, you know, the next generation of games are universal, right? Games have always been around in one form or another.
Yeah.
And I think as much as technology has grown, physical games will always have a place somewhere. So Correct. Even though it might have its ups and downs in terms of popularity and the whole business side of things, I think we're good to just keep drinking and keep playing.
Look at Magic.
Yeah, it's been around forever.
Magic is an online thing for years now, you know?
Sure.
And then they just released this new like arena type thing, right?
Their Puzzle Quest thing too, that's
but people are still playing Magic.
Sure, and that's nuts.
Yeah.
They haven't changed the game all that much. I mean, there's new abilities and things.
New abilities, new mechanics.
But when it comes down to it, you're playing
it's
Magic
still
Gathering.
Magic. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And you know, that's another thing where I could see that living on for at least another 20 years.
Keep going on. Some sort of iteration of that. Absolutely.
I'm excited to see where the hobby goes and excited to see where we go as lovers, and
I can't wait to start a family with you.
Yeah.
We can have our kids play. Frustration, aggravation.
Excited. You know, I do think again, like you said, I'm much more into the industry.
Sure.
Right. You know, I think that I don't know. I could see it being something that you'd be interested in.
I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
I also just don't know how a lot of internets work.
I'm very excited for you to come to PAX.
I can't wait. I'm very excited.
It's going to be super fun.
Yes.
Even for just a weekend of gaming.
Sure.
But aside from that, like you'll be able to see like the things that
True. I need to open my horizons. I need to open myself wide. All right, guys. Well, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for our board game and beer pairing episodes.
Yeah. Be sure to give us some feedback, guys. Like if there's something that you don't like or something you do like, let us know. We'd be excited to hear from you guys and figure out what we can do to make this better.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you guys.
Yep.
Because we're just listening to ourselves. All right. Well, until next time, good beers.
Good games.
Great times.